Have you ever thought about what you'd do if a heart attack struck and you were completely alone? No one around, no one to help, just you, your body, and a race against time. It's terrifying, and it happens more than you think. But here's the truth: you can survive it, if and only if you know what to do. This video could save your life. Picture this: you're 62 years old, sitting in your living room, reading a book, when suddenly you feel an odd sensation in your chest. It's not quite pain, but something doesn't feel right. You're completely alone, and the nearest neighbor is blocks away. What do you do in that moment? Your next few decisions could literally mean the difference between life and death. This scenario plays out more often than most people realize, especially for those over 60 who may live alone or spend long hours by themselves. The statistics are sobering. Adults over 60 are at significantly higher risk for heart attacks. And when you're alone, those critical first minutes become even more crucial. But here's what most people don't know: you absolutely can survive a heart attack, even when you're completely by yourself, if you know exactly what to do. Today, we're going to walk through 7 essential strategies that could save your life when a heart attack strikes, and help is nowhere in sight. These aren't complex medical procedures or techniques that require years of training. They're simple, practical steps that anyone can learn and remember, even in a crisis. We'll cover everything from recognizing those subtle early warning signs that many people miss to the specific actions you can take to buy yourself precious time until professional help arrives. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you could be the most important information you ever learn, especially that final tip, which most people never think about, but emergency room doctors say is often what makes the difference between patients who make it and those who don't. Let's dive in. Number 1. Recognizing the silent signals your body sends. The biggest mistake people make when it comes to heart attacks is waiting for Hollywood symptoms. You know, the dramatic chest clutching, the sudden collapse, the obvious unmistakable signs. But real heart attacks, especially in people over 60, often begin much more quietly, with symptoms so subtle you might dismiss them as nothing serious. What you need to watch for is what doctors call atypical presentations. These can include a persistent feeling of indigestion that doesn't go away even after taking antacids, unusual fatigue that seems to come from nowhere, making you feel exhausted even though you haven't done anything strenuous, or a strange sensation in your upper body that you can't quite describe, but know something feels wrong. Let me tell you about Margaret, a 67-year-old retired teacher who was gardening in her backyard when she began feeling what she described as a heavy blanket being draped across her shoulders. The sensation spread down her left arm, but there was no chest pain at all. She almost ignored it, thinking she had just overexerted herself, but something nagged at her to pay attention. That instinct saved her life, because what she was experiencing was the beginning of what doctors call a silent heart attack. Women and older adults are particularly prone to these atypical symptoms. You might feel pain in your jaw, teeth, neck, or between your shoulder blades. You could experience shortness of breath without any chest discomfort at all. Some people describe feeling like they have the flu, with nausea, sweating, and general weakness. Others report a sense of impending doom, a feeling that something terrible is about to happen, even when they can't explain why. The key is learning to trust your body when it tells you something is different, especially if you're experiencing a combination of these symptoms. Don't try to rationalize them away. Don't assume it's just stress or something you ate. If your body is sending signals that feel unusual or concerning, it's always better to take action and be wrong than to ignore them and be right. Your heart doesn't always scream when it's in trouble. Sometimes it whispers, and those whispers might be your only chance to respond before permanent damage occurs. So the next time you feel something that makes you pause and think, "That's odd," listen to that voice. It could be your life trying to get your attention. Number 2, the 911 call that changes everything. Once you suspect something might be wrong with your heart, there's only one number you need to remember: 911. And you need to call it immediately, not in 5 minutes, not after you see if the symptoms go away, not after you call your adult children or your doctor. First, call 911 right now, this moment. I know it feels dramatic. I know you might worry about being embarrassed if it turns out to be nothing. But here's what emergency dispatchers want you to understand. They would rather respond to 1,000 false alarms than miss one real heart attack every single day. They handle calls from people who aren't sure what's happening, and they're trained to help you figure it out. When you call 911, you're not just getting an ambulance, you're getting a mobile emergency room that starts working on you the moment they arrive. Paramedics carry medications that can stop a heart attack in progress. They have equipment that can restart your heart if it stops, and they can begin treatment immediately rather than waiting until you reach the hospital. Think about what happened to Robert, a 71-year-old widower who felt a crushing sensation in his chest. While making breakfast, he spent 10 minutes debating whether to call anyone. By the time he finally dialed 911, his symptoms had worsened significantly, but the paramedics were able to give him medication right there in his kitchen that dissolved the clot causing his heart attack. If he had waited even 5 more minutes, the outcome might have been very different. Here's something most people don't realize: when you call 911 for chest pain or heart attack symptoms, they dispatch what's called a Priority 1 response. This means lights and sirens, multiple units, and notification to the receiving hospital, so the cardiac team is already preparing before you even arrive. That coordination can cut your treatment time by crucial minutes. Don't worry about how your house looks. Don't worry about getting dressed properly. Don't try to drive yourself to the hospital. And definitely don't wait to see if you feel better. The only thing that matters in that moment is getting professional medical help as quickly as possible. Your pride isn't worth your life, and every minute you delay could mean more damage to your heart muscle that can never be repaired. Keep your phone charged and easily accessible. Especially if you live alone, consider programming 911 into your speed dial. Even though it seems obvious in a crisis, your thinking might not be as clear as usual, and having that number ready to go with one button press could save valuable seconds. Number 3, the aspirin that could save your life. After you've called for help, there's one more thing you can do that could dramatically improve your chances of surviving a heart attack, and it's probably sitting in your medicine cabinet right now: a simple aspirin tablet. But not just any aspirin, and not taken in just any way. You want a regular strength 325 milligram aspirin, not the baby aspirin, not the coated kind. And here's the critical part: you need to chew it. Don't swallow it whole, chew it completely, even though it tastes terrible. This isn't about comfort, it's about speed. Chewing the aspirin gets it into your bloodstream faster than swallowing it, which could be the difference between stopping a clot from growing and letting it completely block your artery. Aspirin works as what doctors call an antiplatelet agent. It makes your blood cells less sticky, so they're less likely to form dangerous clots that block the blood flow to your heart muscle during a heart attack. There's usually a clot blocking one of your coronary arteries, and aspirin can help prevent that clot from getting bigger while you wait for medical treatment. Let me share the story of Edward, a 69-year-old man who was reading in his study when he felt what he described as someone sitting on his chest. He called 911, then remembered the aspirin advice he'd heard from his cardiologist. He chewed one tablet while waiting for the ambulance. When he arrived at the hospital, the emergency room doctor told him that single aspirin had likely prevented his mild heart attack from becoming a massive one. Now, there are some important warnings here. Don't take aspirin if you're allergic to it, if you're already on blood-thinning medication like warfarin, or if you have a history of stomach bleeding. Always check with your doctor about whether aspirin is safe for you in general. But for most people over 60, the benefits during a suspected heart attack far outweigh the risks. Keep aspirin in multiple locations around your house: your bedroom nightstand, your kitchen drawer, even your car or wallet. Make sure it's not expired and that it's easily accessible you don't want to be searching through medicine cabinets. When every second counts, also make sure family members or close friends know where you keep it just in case they ever need to help you. This simple step has been proven in multiple medical studies to reduce heart attack deaths by up to 25%. That's not a small improvement, that's a massive difference in survival rates, all from a medication that costs pennies and is available without a prescription. Number 4, the position that protects your heart. Once you've called for help and taken aspirin, your next job is to make things as easy as possible for your struggling heart. And that means getting into the right position and staying there until help arrives. This might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people make their situation worse by continuing to move around trying to do things or fighting the urge to lie down. The best position for most people during a heart attack is sitting upright with your back supported and your feet flat on the floor. This position allows your heart to work most efficiently while reducing the amount of blood it has to pump against gravity. If you have a recliner chair, that's even better because it supports your entire body while keeping you slightly elevated. If you feel faint or dizzy, you can lie down, but try to keep your head and shoulders slightly raised with pillows. This helps maintain blood flow to your brain while not making your heart work harder than it must. Avoid lying completely flat if possible, as this can make breathing more difficult. Here's what you absolutely should not do. Don't pace around the house. Don't try to walk off the discomfort. Don't attempt to do household chores or get things ready for the paramedics. Every bit of physical activity you do requires your heart to work harder, and right now your heart is already struggling to get enough oxygen. I think of the case of Dorothy, a 73-year-old woman who felt pressure across her chest. While watching television, her first instinct was to get up and make herself some tea to see if that would help. But as soon as she stood up, her symptoms got dramatically worse. She immediately sat back down and called 911. Later, her cardiologist explained that the additional exertion of standing and walking had put dangerous extra strain on her already compromised heart. If you're somewhere unsafe when symptoms begin, like in a parking lot or on stairs, move to the safest location you can reach with minimal effort. Then stop. Don't worry about how it looks to other people. Don't worry about blocking traffic or being in someone's way. Your only job right now is to survive. Keep your arms relaxed at your sides, don't cross them over your chest, and try to keep your breathing as normally as possible. Avoid the temptation to take deep dramatic breaths, which can actually make things worse. Just breathe naturally and focus on staying as calm and still as possible. Remember that doing nothing is actually doing something very important. You're giving your heart the best possible chance to maintain blood flow and stay stable until professional help can take over. Number 5, opening the door to your survival. This next tip might seem almost too simple to matter, but emergency medical professionals will tell you it's one of the most helpful things you can do if you have the strength and mobility to safely reach your front door. Unlock it, and if possible, leave it slightly open. This single action can save precious minutes when paramedics arrive. Think about it from their perspective. They're racing to reach someone who may be having a life-threatening emergency, but when they get to your door, it's locked. They have to spend time breaking in or finding another way to enter, time that your heart doesn't have. While they're dealing with your door, you could be deteriorating rapidly inside. Paramedics are trained and equipped to break down doors when necessary, but it's not quick or easy, especially if you have a solid door with multiple locks or security features that make forced entry difficult. And if you're near the door when they break it in, you could be injured by flying debris or the door itself. Consider what happened to Harold, a 78-year-old man who lived in a house with a heavy wooden front door and 2 deadbolts when his heart attack symptoms began. He managed to call 911 and take aspirin, but didn't think about the door. The paramedics had to spend nearly 4 minutes breaking in. During those 4 minutes, Harold's condition worsened significantly, and he nearly went into cardiac arrest. On the other hand, think about Grace, a 65-year-old woman who unlocked her front door immediately after calling for help when the paramedics arrived. They walked straight in and began treatment within seconds. That quick access allowed them to start an IV, give her medication, and stabilize her condition before transporting her to the hospital. If you live in an apartment building with a security entrance or buzzer system, try to call the building manager or superintendent, if possible, to let them know emergency services are coming. If you have the strength, leave your apartment door unlocked. And if there's a main entrance that needs to be opened, see if you can arrange for that as well. For those who live alone, especially consider investing in a lockbox that emergency services can access or a smart lock that can be opened remotely. These solutions might seem like overkill until you need them, but when minutes matter, these small preparations can be life-saving. If walking through the door feels like too much exertion, don't do it. Your safety comes first. But if you feel stable enough to reach the door safely, it's one of the most practical things you can do to help the people who are coming to save your life. Number 6, making your phone work for you. Your smartphone can be much more than just a way to call for help during a heart attack. It can become a sophisticated medical tool that works for you even if you become unable to speak or think clearly. The key is knowing how to use its features before you need them. First, always put your phone on speaker mode when talking to 911 dispatchers. This allows you to keep your hands-free, stay in a comfortable position, and avoid the physical strain of holding the phone to your ear when you're already struggling to breathe. Speaking on speaker also allows the dispatcher to hear background sounds that might give them important information about your condition. Most modern smartphones have an emergency medical information feature that can be accessed even when the phone is locked on iPhones. It's called Medical ID, and you can set it up in the Health app on Android phones. The feature varies by manufacturer, but most have something similar. This information can include your age, medical conditions, current medications, allergies, and emergency contacts. Why is this so important? Imagine you become unconscious before help arrives. When paramedics find you, they need to know crucial information like whether you're diabetic, what medications you take, if you have any drug allergies, and who they should contact. All of this information can be right on your phone screen, even if you can't tell them yourself. Let me tell you about William, a 74-year-old man who collapsed just as paramedics were arriving at his door. He couldn't speak, but his phone's medical ID showed that he was taking a blood thinner and had a pacemaker. This information immediately changed how the paramedics treated him and may have prevented them from giving him medications that could have been dangerous. Setting up your medical ID takes just a few minutes, but could save your life, including your full name, date of birth, primary medical conditions like diabetes, heart disease, or high blood pressure, all medications you take regularly, known allergies, and at least one emergency contact. Make sure this information is current and update it whenever something changes. Another valuable feature is your phone's ability to share your location with emergency services. Most modern phones do this automatically when you call 911, but make sure your location services are turned on. This helps dispatchers send help to exactly the right place, which is especially important if you live in a large apartment complex or rural area where addresses can be confusing. Some phones also have emergency SOS features that can automatically call for help and alert your emergency contacts. If you're unable to dial normally, learn how your phone's emergency features work before you need them, because in a crisis, you won't have time to figure it out. Keep your phone charged and easily accessible at all times. Consider keeping a charger next to your bed and in your main living areas. If you live alone, a dead phone could mean the difference between getting help and not being found for hours or days. Number 7, breathing your way to stability. The final and perhaps most important technique you can use during a heart attack is when you're alone, controlled breathing. This isn't about meditation or relaxation. It's about using your breath as a tool to help stabilize your heart rhythm and prevent your body from going into shock while you wait for professional help. When a heart attack begins, your body's natural response is panic. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes rapid and shallow, and stress hormones flood your system. Unfortunately, this response can make a heart attack worse by putting additional strain on an already struggling heart. Controlled breathing helps counteract this dangerous cycle. The technique is simple but powerful. Breath in slowly through your nose. For a count of 4, hold that, breathe gently for 2 counts, then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. The longer exhale is key because it activates your body's relaxation response, which can help slow your heart rate and reduce the workload on your heart. This isn't just feel-good advice, it's based on solid medical science. Controlled breathing stimulates the vagus nerve, which helps regulate heart rhythm and blood pressure. It also helps ensure that you're getting adequate oxygen even when your heart isn't pumping efficiently. The slow, deliberate breathing pattern can help prevent dangerous arrhythmias that sometimes develop during heart attacks. Consider the experience of Thomas, an 82-year-old retired engineer who felt crushing chest pain while working in his garage. Instead of panicking, he remembered breathing exercises he had learned in a cardiac rehabilitation class years earlier. He focused on slow, controlled breaths while waiting for the ambulance. When he arrived at the hospital, his heart rhythm was abnormal but stable. The emergency room doctor later told him that his controlled breathing had likely prevented his heart from going into a life-threatening, irregular rhythm. Practice this breathing technique when you're healthy and calm so it becomes second nature. When you're under stress, you can do it while sitting in your favorite chair watching television, or even while lying in bed. The more familiar the pattern becomes, the more instinctively your body will return to it during a crisis. If you start to feel panicked or overwhelmed during a heart attack, return to your breathing. It gives your mind something to focus on besides the fear and gives your body a tool to help maintain stability. Don't worry about doing it perfectly, just focus on slow in, slower out, and letting your body's natural wisdom take over. Remember that your breath is always with you. It's a tool that requires no equipment, no medication, and no help from anyone else. It's something you control completely, even in the most frightening and helpless moments of a medical crisis. Surviving a heart attack when you're alone after 60s isn't about luck. It's about preparation, knowledge, and decisive action. These 7 strategies work together to give you the best possible chance, not just of surviving, but of minimizing the damage to your heart and maximizing your recovery. Let's review your life-saving action plan. First, learn to recognize the subtle warning signs that your body might be trying to tell you something is wrong. Second, call 911 immediately without hesitation or delay. Third, chew an aspirin if you can safely do so. Fourth, get into a stable, supported position and stay there. Fifth, unlock your door to help emergency responders reach you faster. Sixth, use your phone's features to help medical professionals treat you effectively. And seventh, use controlled breathing to help stabilize your heart rhythm. Each of these steps might seem small on its own, but together they create a powerful strategy that can mean the difference between life and death. More importantly, they give you back some control in a situation that can feel completely overwhelming. The truth is that many people over 60 who live alone worry about exactly this scenario. What would happen if they had a medical emergency with no one around to help? Now you know that even alone, you're not powerless. You have tools, strategies, and the knowledge to take action that could save your life. I encourage you to share this information with family members, friends, and neighbors, especially those who live alone or spend significant time by themselves. The techniques we've discussed today could save not just your life, but the life of someone you care about. Take a moment right now to think about your own situation. Do you have aspirin easily accessible? Is your phone's medical ID set up? Do you know how to unlock your door quickly? These aren't just good ideas to consider someday, they're practical steps you can take today to be better prepared. Remember that heart disease remains the leading cause of death for adults over 60, but with the right knowledge and preparation, you can significantly improve your odds of not just surviving a heart attack, but recovering well and continuing to live the life you. What resonated most with you from today's discussion? Was there a particular tip that you hadn't considered before, or one that made you think differently about your own preparedness? Take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments below, and let us know how you plan to use this information in your own life. If this video has been helpful to you, please like and share it with others who might benefit. Your support helps us continue creating content that could truly make a difference in people's lives. Thank you for watching, and remembering knowledge is power, especially when it comes to protecting your most precious asset, your health.